the palace is also not very old, because compared to some of the palaces of Europe.
Yeah, but there were palaces before that.
Even, you know, very cynically say that the Mysore Palace may be compared to an outhouse of some of the bigger palaces of Europe. And many people who come to see the palace from Europe sometimes are not even impressed. And we, coming from Mysore, or, you know, being emotionally attached to Mysore, feel that it's all great. But are you actually looking at everything with that kind of a view, that, you know, I mean, a frog in the well kind of a situation?
Not at all, and I don't think splendor is such a bad word.
No, I'm not talking about just the splendor, like, you know, to think that, you know, this story needs to be told to the whole world.
Yes, I do think there is a need to tell the story to the whole world, because Mysore had a very distinctive and unique role to play in Indian history, and which sadly has not been chronicled by anybody. And it's high time somebody, you know, spoke about it with a modern perspective, and that's exactly what I've done.
A kingdom that did not want even to accede to the Indian Union.
But Mysore was, if you would remember, the first kingdom to actually fall into the...
Because did not actually have an option.
None of the other princely states
Why
had.
do actually people somewhere think that the Mysore kings were weak too, to an extent, and really gave up a lot of things, particularly their own freedom?
There is a certain...
Without a fight.
As I said, it's very difficult to judge characters of the past by circumstances and, you know, yardsticks we set today. If we go back 200 years in the past, 1799 is when this incident you talk about, when Tipu Sultan died, and the lingering royal family, what option did they have? Did they have the option of dying in anonymity, or did they have the option of joining the British and
continuing to rule the people?
Correct.
By making a pact.
But if you recall, Tipu Sultan also aligned with the French. So if not for the Wadiyars, Tipu would have continued with French aid, and I don't know how different a French ruled Mysore would be from a British ruled Mysore, because French too had colonial designs, as was shown in the Carnatic Wars. So these are product of circumstances, and sitting now it's very easy to comment on they should have done this and that, but they were a product of their times, and they did what they felt was the best they could then. And
wasn't this a big task on your hands when you decided to write this book?
It was an onerous responsibility.
Were you prepared for it? Because you were writing something that is historical.
Yeah.
And you very well knew that you were not a historian.
Yeah, that was both an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage was, you know, the credibility that the book and its contents would have in the eyes of scholars and rationalists.
You knew that this book would be questioned.
Yes, yes, I'm prepared for that. And if people are going to question me on the historical authenticity...
And today you can actually only defend on the basis of the information that you gathered, to say that, look, I have proof for this, I have proof for that, which itself could be very debatable. Because like you yourself say, it's also an art as well as science.
That's true of any historical chronicle, be it a movie, be it a book. People can always...
Wouldn't it have been easier for you to say that this is a semi-fictional, what do you say, narrative?
Because it's not that. It's just interspersed with stories which would catch...
Because you know your hard work, you know the kind of work that you've done to put this book together.
Yes, yes.
You're not a Kannadiga by birth, with a Maharashtrian and Tamilian parentage.
Yes.
So you want to be called a Kannadiga?
Yes, I'm a quintessential Bangalorean. I might be by lineage something else, but I've been born and brought up in Bangalore, and I truly love my city and the state, and I would want to be called a Kannadiga.
You speak Kannada too?
Yes, we speak Kannada at home because that's the common language amidst myriad other things which we get confused in.
Okay. But what were your friends saying when they heard or saw you writing this book? Did they actually think that it was an impossibility? It looks like an impossibility because 800 pages is not something that can be written so easily.
Yeah, some of them did look at me with awe. Some of them even scoffed, saying, you know, this is not a doable thing.
Okay.
And today, I think the actions speak louder than words.
When did you realize that the book was finished?
I think I still want to add on more things to the book, and maybe in the second edition.
But why did you go around asking for a lot of vouching, or rather, you know, for people to authenticate the things that you've written here?
Yeah, as I said, the disadvantage of being a non-historian, I needed someone who was adept in
But
history,
why?
not just to
But why?
vouch the book, but also to help me in, maybe in my research I might have faltered, and somebody who's an authority in that, it's good he tells me where I've gone wrong.
Then why don't you just tell that, you know, this is what I've written? I'm sure that you can debate about it instead of actually asking for people to, you know, I mean, certify it.
Maybe making something foolproof is something that I believe
But it
in.
cannot be foolproof
Yeah.
ever.
To the extent possible.
But is that a compulsion? Is that a burden on your shoulders today, that somewhere always you need to keep defending this book?
Somewhere I do
Or
think
because you've written it, published it, it's for the people to decide?
it's now in the open arena. As I said,